right? So new vocabulary topic, new grammar topic, everything. Right, so for the next 3 to 4 weeks, our main focus is going to be on restaurant vocabulary and food vocabulary. And then the main grammar topic will be stem changing or radical changing verbs, right? And we have a few things along the way that relate to these. So we'll look at them, por and para, commands, and then also how we state our preferences, right? All right, so let's get started here. Now, homework. There are 2 things at present for homework, right? This is an exercise that's due at the end of October, first of all, right? So you have time, right? It is a quiz to complete. Oops. Right? I'm sending it now in the chat, right? So you can save the link. And then also I sent this last week, but I'll send it again. This is a link to the vocabulary for this topic, right? No, it's not to do now. It's to do sometime in October, before the end of October, right? The vocabulary should be ongoing. If you didn't already write down your list, then, and you started it, you could work on it some more this week and some more next week and so on, right? All right. So let's get to our activities, right? So last week, I gave you the vocabulary list and I asked you to start looking at it to focus on the nouns. So let's see if we could put in the missing vocabulary words here. Right? All right. So esta noche, this night, tonight, vamos al, okay, so where are we going? Given our topic, what is this picture? We are going to the right? So we're using the pictures to guess the word, the vocabulary word. What does this picture represent? What establishment are we going to? Oh my God, my picture must be terrible. All right, we'll come back to that one. Al llegar al restaurante, this person va darnos this thing. So who is this person? So al llegar means what? On arriving, right, at the restaurant. Who is this person? You could tell me in English if you don't know the word in Spanish, the waiter, right? How do we say waiter in Spanish? Anybody knows? All right, so the waiter is el mesero. Right. And if the waiter is feminine, then it would be la mesera, right? Now there's an older word that we used to learn back in the day, camarero and la camarera, right? So if by chance you see that, you'll know what it is. Sort of like how I guess we no longer say waiter and waitress, we say servers. All right. So now arriving at the restaurant, the waiter is going to give us va darnos. What is this? What will the waiter give us? Right, the menu. How do we say menu in Spanish? El menú. Right? Menu with an accent on the U to put the stress on the U, right? El menú. All right. Pero sobre, what is this thing here? What is this? So the next sentence, pero sobre on the something. But on the what? When you look at this image, what do you see? That would be in a restaurant. What is this? A table, good. And how do we say table in Spanish? La mesa, right. So, pero sobre la mesa, but on the table, no I. All right, so what are any of these things? Sorry. We have knives, we have a spoon, we have a fork. What can we say here in, right, yeah, we could say cutlery, or you could tell me individually, one by one. There was no knife, there was no spoon, there was no fork. Yes, whatever word you think you know, you could type it. Okay, el cuchillo is the knife. Okay, so cuchillo, knife. All right, what is spoon? Cuchara. Spoon, and what is fork? Tenedor, right? Right, okay. Now, if you wanted to say cutlery, just some people wanted to say cutlery, meaning everything, right? No, so we would say this word, cuchillería. All right, so I'm gonna pause. Anything? Okay, so to go back to the first picture, where were we going? Where did we go? To what? Where are we going? Esta noche vamos al restaurante, right? Caminar. Right, restaurante. Right. So I'm gonna pause the recording so you could note any vocabulary you would like to, if you haven't already noted it from the list, right? All right, so we are going next to a slide where we need to put the dialogue in order, right? All right, so let's first understand who is saying what. So we have two people, right? Well, one person and a robot. And the robot is making plans for dinner. So the activity is arrange the speech bubbles into a conversation that reserves a table. Right? So, and I'm gonna ask you to take down the conversation, right? So don't write as yet, unless you know the order it comes in. All right, so let's look at these speech bubbles. And let's make sure we understand what is being said in each. So diga, what is diga? Anybody has met diga before? Diga is like talk to me, right? It's like how you answer the phone. Every culture has a different way of answering the phone. A way among Spanish speaking cultures is to say diga, right? Oops, hello, not hello. Right. All right, the robot is making a reservation as a context for the conversation, right? All right. So, sí, señor, ¿para cuándo? What do we think this means? Yes, sir. What is para cuándo? Cuándo means Does it mean how many? Does it mean how much? Does it mean when? Does it mean why? Does it mean who? What does cuando mean? Cuando means when, right? So yes, sir, for when. All right. A nombre de Julio Amara, por favor. Right? So a nombre de is in the name of, literally, but in English we would say under the name of. More like as well, right? And it would mean the same thing. And Julio Amara, please, right? So then look, here's the question that probably came before it. A nombre de quién, por favor, right? So in whose name? Please, right? All right. What is cuántas personas? ¿Cuántas personas? What does that mean? Yes, thank you, Michaela. How many persons? How many people? All right, what is cuatro? Cuatro is? Guys, most of us in class have a holiday on Friday. We will rest then. We are still working. We are still awake. We are not resting now in class. We just finished numbers. This is a baby number. You all learned this the first time you did Spanish, probably even before that. Good. Cuatro is four. Good. Para esta noche a las 7:30. Tell me what this means. Para esta noche a las 7:30. Para means for. Esta noche means this night, tonight. What is a las 7:30? What time? (7:30). Good. All right. So if it's at 7:30, all right, what is conforme, senor, given that this is about reserving, making a reservation? Right? Confirmed, sir. And what is this other piece here? Quisiera reservar. So quisiera is a polite way to say I would like. Reservar, to reserve a table. Una mesa, por favor. Right? Okay, let's talk about the order of these things. Which has to go first? Which box has to go first? It's a phone conversation. So what's the first thing that has to be? Right, good, diga. So that's the first thing. All right, what has to happen next? You could tell me in English if you don't want to type in Spanish. So the waiter picks up the phone and he goes, diga. And then the robot says, what does the robot say? At the end, adios. But which of the boxes has the next line that the robot would say to the, right, that he wants to reserve a table? Very good. So that's quisiera reservar una mesa, right? All right. And what would the man say next? Right, good. Yes, so for when, right? And the robot, so that's over here, si senor para cuando. So I'm going to go back and rearrange everything. We're just reasoning it through now. Then what would the robot say next? The waiter asked for when, and the robot will say, good, for tonight at 7:30. All right, and then what will the mesero ask next? It could be one of two things. Right, he might say the name of, or he might say how many people. If he says in the name or whose name, then the robot responds, a nombre de Julio Amara. And if he says cuántas personas, the robot responds, cuatro, right? And then the mesero responds, confirm. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so let's move these things around. Okay, so we start with diga, and we can put that up here a little bit. All right, so when you're ready now, you could start writing. Right? I would like you to take this down, or at least take down some of the phrases as an example of asking to reserve a table, right? All right, so the next comment is the robot, and he says, quisiera reservar. Going on, robot, you don't want to move your box here? Well, okay, there we go. All right, so quisiera reservar una mesa, por favor. All right, now you have an option when you're taking it down. Instead of writing it the way like I have it, you could say how you would for a normal dialogue. So you would say mesero, and you put his words, and you put Julio, because the robot's name is Julio, and you put his words, and mesero, and then words, and then Julio, etc. Right? All right. Okay, so I want to reserve a table, and mesero says, sí, señor, para cuando, right? That's here. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to go back and put in the missing accents until this. So as you write, you do it too, right? All right, and the robot says, sorry, Julio says, para esta noche a las 7:30, right? And then, a nombre de quién? Por favor. So in whose name, please? Under whose name, please? What name for the reservation, please? Right? Right, a nombre de Julio Amara. Por favor. Okay, and then cuántas personas. Right, and the robot says 4. All right, and the mesero says conforme. Okay, questions, concerns? All right, so let me go back now and put any missing accent. So y'all are writing while I was doing that, right? Oops, oops, oops. All right, good. All right, so let me put any missing. So we have an accent here and a tilde on N, question mark, accent. What else? A nombre de quién, accent on the E and quién, cuántas, accent on the A. But I think that's it, right? If anybody sees anything else missing, you could tell me. All right, do I need to write back English or anything? This expression is important. Quisiera reservar una mesa, por favor. All right, imagine you could get a situation that asks you this, right? A table, please. Right? All right, yes, sir, for how many and number, so in whose name? All right, no problem. So Diga was hello, all right? Si, señor, para cuando, so yes, sir, for when. For tonight, this night, at 7:30. Under whose name? Under slash in whose name? Please, right? So under Julio Amara's name, please. Right? Confirmed. So, right? Oh, the last still here. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So take your time. Not too much time. I think that the quisiera expression is important, and I think this expression a nombre de and a name is important. Right? You may want to note a nombre de quién so you could remember what the question is. All right, so this was just a little snack, and now it's time for the main course. Not this, it's video of the class. Right, here we are. Stem changing verbs. Right? Now, I want you to write down a version of this. I definitely want you to take on the heading, but you could shorten what is under it, right? All right. There are some verbs in Spanish that they end the normal way. They have the normal endings. So they have the normal AR endings, the normal ER endings, the normal IR endings, as well as some are irregular. But this is just the point, right? So the normal endings, but the way that we spell the stem, specifically the second to last syllable. Oh Lord. Highlighter, right. The second to last syllable of the word, of the verb changes, right? In every form except for nosotros, right? And also it doesn't change for vosotros. So if you do vosotros in school, it doesn't change for vosotros either, right? But we don't do vosotros for CSEC, so I just have for nosotros, right? All right, so as you know, so y'all are writing on a version of this, right? While I explain something up here. So as you know, every verb has a stem plus an ending, right? If you look at a verb, you could break it up into those things. So for instance, I'm going to use this in English, you might see like walking, right? And the ending is ing, and that is the stem, right? Walked, right? And that is the ending. And this is the stem, right? Now in Spanish, if you have mirar, beber, these are not stem changing verbs. This is just to illustrate stem and ending. So this is the stem. And then this is the ending. The AR, the ER, right? And then in, like if it's Vivir, the IR, right? So for most people, this should be already clear in your head. And why is Miss repeating this? We already know it. Good. Right? All right. So some verbs, I'll give you some examples with that are actually stem changing, right? And some of these we've met before this term, and I probably just gave you the conjugation, or if you're in the older class and you're just visiting today, you conjugated it because you've done it before, right? So if we take the verb despertar, to wake up, and if you take the verb poder, to be able to, and if you take the verb acostar, which is also reflexive. But let's just deal with acostar for now, right? To go to bed. All right, so these are all stem changing verbs. You don't need to write anything down. I'm just illustrating something, right? I'm illustrating what it says below. Now, where is the stem that changes? So for poder, it's pretty obvious. It has to be the O because when you take off the ending, that's all that's left, right? So the O will change to U, puedo, UE, sorry, puedo, puedes, puede, podemos, etc. Pueden, right? All right, for acostar, similarly, this is the ending. Even though it has two syllables, a and cos remaining, it has to be this that changes, right? Which it does to UE. Acuesto, acuestas, acuesta, acostamos, acuestan, right? Despertar, you take off the ending, which is the part that's the stem. So if we look at the rule, it says the second to last syllable, right? This is the stem, which is the part that will change. Is it this E? Is it this E? The second to last syllable, right? So the second to last syllable is this. So it becomes despierto, despiertas, despierta. Despertamos, despiertan, right? So second to last syllable, this is the last syllable is AR. So second to last syllable is this piece, right? So this rule is here, so you'll know when you come to a stem changing verb, which part of the stem is actually changing, right? Okay, everybody is done taking down this guideline. Anybody, if you're not done, tell me. Otherwise, I'm gonna count it. Okay, one person is not done. Go ahead, no problem. Go ahead. Now, does anybody feel shaky on how to conjugate AR or ER or IR verbs? Does anybody feel like they're not 100% there with that? All right, well, as we do these next few weeks, we'll find out if we are not 100% there, right? All right, so if you tell me that you're not 100% there, I will make a note so that we can do extra practice, right? And I could explain it to you if need be. All right, so stem changing or radical changing verbs, right? I don't really know why I have a slash here. Did I have it on the last slide? No. So this slash is unnecessary. I think so you can take that out. Sorry. What is that? Nobody knows. Okay. All right. So there are three basic types of radical changing verbs. Three basic types, right? The first type is the type that changes from E to IE. The stem has an E in it, right? And when you conjugate it and it undergoes the radical change, that E becomes IE, right? And I have an example of that below, carrier. All right, the next type is O to UE. This is type 2. And the example of that will be volver, right? So there's an O in the stem, and when we conjugate it, that O becomes UE for everything except nosotros, right? And then we have type 3, which is E to I, right? And there's an E in the stem, and when we conjugate it, the E changes to an I, right? All right, so an example of that will be pedir. Right, so conjugating stem changing verbs. So first step, you need to figure out which syllable is going to undergo the change. Well, actually, okay, let me wait until everybody has this piece noted, and then we'll continue. Right, everybody good? Everybody has the three types written down? Okay, so how do we do it? So this is a new heading here, right? So this, how to go about, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? Highlighter, right. how to go about actually doing the conjugating of the verbs, right? No, sorry, just, I told you there are three main types, right? There are three main types, but then there are two other smaller groups. There's U to UE and I to IE, which I'm just mentioning now, out loud for the more advanced students who might be thinking, well, Missy left off X and Y, right? X and Y will come up later, but we're dealing with the majority of changes, which is E to IE, O to UE, and E to I, right? All right, so conjugating these verbs now, right? So the first thing you have to do is find the part that you're going to have to change. And we said that is going to be the second to last syllable. So how do we get a syllable? Well, let's see if you have the word conjugate, it's basically the sound that you get with a vowel and a consonant. So you break it up into vowel and consonant pieces. Right? So conjugate. If you have basic, basic, right? Radical, right? Okay, so you just break it up into consonant and vowel units. All right, so K-rare has two syllables, the K sound and the rare sound. So the second to last syllable is also the first syllable, will be the K sounds, is really the E that we're changing, right? Or, you could just memorize these. So the second to last syllable is really the first syllable is O. And same for here, right? All right. All right, so step one was locate the part that you have to change. Step two is change it as necessary. So change the E to IE or the O to UE or the E to I, except in the first person plural form, right? Which is nosotros. So except in the nosotros form, right? Everywhere else undergoes a change. So E to IE, O to UE, E to I, and the exception is nosotros, right? Feel free to shorten the note if you need to. All right. And then step three is continue as normal. If you want to shorten this note, instead of all of this, you could write conjugate as normal. Right? So that means take off the ending, take off the AR, take off the ER, take off the IR. And then add in what is supposed to be the regular. Well, we are dealing with present tense, right? But it could be any tense. The regular endings. All right, so let's just say that again. We have three basic types of radical change in verbs. We have E to IE verbs, O to UE verbs, E to I verbs. When we're conjugating them, make sure you know what the syllable is. That has to change, and it is the second to last syllable of the verb, which in some short verbs also means it's the first syllable, but right? And then we make the change, E to IE, O to UE, E to I, in all the forms except for the nosotros form. And then we go ahead and conjugate as normal. We add in the endings as normal, right? All right. Let me know if you have questions. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so here we're going to actually, did I put anything? No, we have to write any conjugations ourselves. Well, all right. Again, this slash is unnecessary. Boo. All right, so reminder of the steps, find the syllable, change the stem, continue as normal, right? So to do that, I have to remember my AR endings. So let's review the AR endings quickly. I do have an AR verb here, my bad. What are the endings for ER then? What are the ER endings for verbs? For yo, it is O. For tú, it is ES. For él, ella, usted, it is E. For nosotros, EMOS. For ellos, ellas, ustedes, EN, right? All right, and same for over here, O-E-S-E, E-M-O-S, accent N. All right, tell me about IR verbs. What are the regular endings for IR verbs? So O again, then what? Uh-oh. For IR verbs now, right? So AS would be the ending for AR verbs. All right, so ES, E, IMOS, and then we go back to EN, right? So it's an IR verb, but the only thing that we deal with their I is the nosotros form, right? All right. Now, let's go back to our steps 1, 2, and 3. I sort of skipped there and just went to the endings, but we said we locate the syllable, which in this case is the E. We have to change because Carrera is E to IE, right? Which we just have to memorize, you know, how it changes, which ones change and how they change, right? Okay, so yo quiero, right? I like. Tú quieres, like or love or want, right? Let me put this a little closer to the ending. Right? Ella, usted quiere, Q-U-I-E-R-E. All right, now what happens with nosotros? No change, right? It stays as what it was originally. It goes back to E. So nosotros queremos, ellos, ellas, ustedes. We change again. Quieren. All right. Any questions about that? Everybody okay with it? All right, I want you to make sure you have querer completed before we go to volver, right? And querer, we remember, is to want, to love, to like. Okay, everybody finished with querer? Anybody still writing querer? Right, so let's do volver. What is volver? What does volver mean? Volver is to return, as in to go back, right? So like you might return home with a la casa, right? Not to return something, that is devolver, but to return oneself, right? So to return or to go back, right? All right. So our stem, this O changes to UE. So now everywhere we would have put O, we now have to put UE. So yo will vo, tu will ves. So VUELV is a new stem, right? El usted will ve. Now for nosotros, we go back to the original. Nosotros volvemos. Right, if you do vosotros, it's also volvis. Volves. Volveis, sorry. Now, I am doing these three with you as an example. And then after we take our break and we come back, you will have some to practice with, right? And sorry, I did not write back will be. I didn't write the last one here, will be. All right. So just, you could see stem changes for all except nosotros line, right? All right. Okay, so let's do the last one. Um, servir, to serve, as in like a waiter or a hostess or a server serves you, right? All right, so this is, ending is an IR verb. Here is where we change. This is an E to I changing verb, right? So everywhere we would have written SERV, we now have to write SIRV, right? The IR would be struck off, and these are the endings we would add, right? Just like here, the ER was struck off and we added those endings, right? So E changes to I, so SIRV, servo. To SIRV, service. El usted, SIRV, sirve. Nosotros, it goes back to the E, servimos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, SIRVEN, sirven, right? So compare what I have written. If you sent an answer in the chat and I told you you had to change something, look at it, make sure you see what the difference is, and you understand why, right? Okay, the fast writers are done. So perhaps we could wait a minute again and see if everyone is finished by then, right? Okay, so in total, we have 6 of them to do, and then we also want to do Hugar. Okay, so first one, Pinsar, right? I'm going to start you off, but you're going to finish it. So, and you could type your answers in the chat. Then we'll put the answers on the screen after we've checked our answers in the chat. And then you could take down whatever you need to take down, right? But I really want to see people trying to conjugate, please. So remember, you have 2 things to do. This is pensar is IE, right? Changes to IE. So you have to change the stem when you conjugate it, all the forms except nosotros. And you have to change the AR part of the verb, right? So remember that when you have an AR verb, you take off the ending, and for you add O. For to, you add AS. For el, ea, usted, you add A. For nosotros, EMOS. For ellas, ellos, ustedes, you add AN, right? After you take off that AR form. Right, so take a try, send your answers in the chat. Now, that could be a product of you typing on a small screen, right? But pay attention as to why you're making the typo, right? Okay, so pienso, P-I-E-N. S is the stem. And to that, I will add my ending, which is O, right? Piensas, piensa, right? For nosotros, I go back to the original pensamos, right? And last one, piensan. All right, let me make some space so this will be easier to see. right? Okay, empezar, the E changes to IE. Anybody have a question they want to ask? All right, so hold on. Let me do the stem with you. Let me formulate the stem with you. Remember, there are two sets of changes now to make to this verb. You have to make the normal ending changes when you conjugate it, but then you also have to change the stem, right? So the E changes to IE. So when I take off the AR, my stem is now EMPIEZ. All right, let's do empezar together, right? So my stem for empezar, because it's stem changing, radical changing, is EMPIEZ. And then I add my AR endings, right? Now, only one student indicated that they needed to review endings of verbs. So if this is turning out to be you as well, you need to say OASAMOSAN, right? That's the normal endings for AR verbs. So empiezo, I begin. Empiezas, you begin. Empieza, he, she, it begins. We go back now to the E alone for nosotros. Empezamos. And then we return to IE, empiezan. Right. Good. And for there is O to UE. I said to begin. Did I say empezar means to give? No, it means to begin. Sorry. If I said to give, that was a mistake. Right. So guys, please try to the chat. Some people are, and I really appreciate that, right? Where it's letting us iron out the little places where we're still confused, right? So the next one to try is poder. Okay, so a reminder that the endings for ER verbs are O, ES, E, EMOS, EN, right? All right. So poder, O to UE, all right? So PUED will be the stem. So it becomes puedo, puedes, puede, podemos, because it goes back for nosotros, pueden. Right. So try, if you haven't already, dormir, pedir, and vestirse on your own, right? And the IR endings. What are the IR endings? These are IR verbs. O, ES, E, IMOS, EN, right? So try these three. I'm going to give you a little more time for that. Okay, so I'm typing in here. So dormir, so the stem becomes DUE RM, and then I add the ending, right? Except for dormimos, which we'll go back to. So we say for our verb, we say duermo, we say duermes, we say duerme, dormimos, and dormir, right? Now we move everything up so we can actually see it. Yay, all right, good. Pedir changes from E to I. So the stem is going to be PID plus the ending, right? All right, so pedo, PDs. Remind me when we're done here to actually go over what the word meanings of these words are, right? PD. We go back to what it was before, pedimos, piden. Okay. Okay, and then vestirse, which has the double winning combination here of being reflexive and stem changing, right? All right, so let's see. Right, so me visto, te vistes, usted viste, nosotros vistimos, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Sorry. What mistake did I make with the nosotros form? Look, spell check had to tell me. Come, guys, check it. What's the mistake I made there? Ustedes, visten. I did not change back the I, it's vestimos. And I'm also putting the wrong reflexive pronouns. What is wrong with me? It's the correct subject pronoun, but this is reflexive, so I'm trying to put the reflexive pronouns, right? So vestimos is really vestimos. E, right? There we go. That's it. All right. So me, te, se viste. Nos vestimos. Se visten, right? All right. Okay, so please check over, see if you have any questions before we move on, right? You just have to learn which verb changes to what, but I promise you it is possible. You could do it, right? We're going to do some at a time. All right, so I want to clear all this away and let's just remind ourselves of what these verbs mean. Pensar is to think. So if you're saying your opinion, you'll say pienso, right? Empezar is to begin, right? A synonym for this is comenzar, also to begin. Also, stem changing E to IE, at least they're consistent, right? All right, poder is to be able to. Dormir is to sleep. Guys, you all have met dormir before, right? Pedir is to ask, as in to ask for something. So, or to order, like you're in a restaurant, you ask for something, you order it. And vestirse. So when you all met this dormir with your teachers in school, you didn't discuss, did you discuss how it was stem changing or that was saved for another time? Vestirse is to dress oneself, I guess. Okay, so please make sure you know what they mean. And now that you've met them, I am expecting that you will remember that they're stem changing. You'll remember what the change is, and you'll be able to conjugate it and use it, right? Okay, any questions? No, all right, let's do one more, which is Hugar. I'm gonna clear this away and we're gonna do Hugar. What does Hugar mean? You have met Hugar before, I'm sure. What does it mean? Right, it means to play. Great. And Hugar is stem changing. It's the only one of its kind. It's a unicorn in the sense that it's the only verb in Spanish that changes from U to UE, right? Everything changes from O to UE if it's going to change. Right, so let's just do Hugar together quickly. At least it's an AR verb, so it's not too hard. All right, so it goes from U to UE, right? It is an important verb, especially for when you have to talk about pastimes. You have to discuss what sports you do. All right, so it's juego, right? So jugar is to play. Juegas, right? So I play, you play, he, she, it plays, juega. That's an instrument, right? To play like a sport. Tocar is to play an instrument, also to touch. Not radical changing. All right. Jugamos, we play, and then juegan, right? Now, if you're meeting this rule, this as a grammar, this grammar topic for the first time today, and you are able to make the changes in the stem, then feel proud of yourself, give yourself a pat on the back, right? Because it's confusing, difficult, and you did it. And if you still have little things to fine tune, like to remember to go back for the nosotros form, or maybe you realize you have to revise your endings for AR, ER, and IR, no problem. Just make sure you understand. We have a lot of practice with this coming up this month, right? Right. So I'm giving you all a half a minute again to finish writing this. And then I'm going to share with you a slide of doom. Okay, so a little earlier in the chat, somebody asked, how are you supposed to know which verbs change to IE and which verbs change to I? The stem changes to what, right? And the thing is, you sort of just have to memorize them, right? So I'm going to show, I do have this written out on the slide, a list, right? Of the most common verbs with the changes that you will see. It's not all the verbs in Spanish, but it is the most, they are the most common ones that you would need to know, right? Now, which ones do we already know? So if you want to take a screen, if you're a serious Spanish student, and you want to take a screenshot of this, so you'll have it for your reference and you want to write it out, no problem, right? We are going to be doing them piece by piece as the month goes on. All right, so we did today jugar, which means to play, right? Now, if we have met a verb and we have conjugated a verb, I expect you to learn it, study it, remember it, right? What else did we do? We did querer, we did pensar, we did empezar. Anything else here we did? Nope. What about over here? Anything? We did dormir. We did poder. We did volver. Right? What about over here? We didn't, we did pedir, right? And we did vestir. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So we've done quite a few. Right. All right. Any questions anybody wants to ask? And this group we didn't talk about, this I to IE. This is just a few in this group, and I put 2 out of the 6 or so here, right? Any questions anybody wants to ask? Anything anybody wants to say? Servir, would you like to do servir together now? Oh, we did servir. Right, my bad. Sorry. To sue. Now I remember the conversation times. Yeah. So see, we've already done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've already done 10 off of this list of 1,000,000. Will I send it? I wasn't planning to. Can you take, okay, so what I could do is I could share the PowerPoint with you now in the chat. Would that be good enough? If somebody asks for access to the PowerPoint, I really don't mind sharing, right? Just understand that my PowerPoints change. This won't really change, I don't think, right? But slides move and slides change. So it's not like you could sit down in front of the PowerPoint and go through it slide after slide, and it would follow what we did in class, right? So just be aware of that. It's not it. So if you have a question, you can ask. Right, I don't use a Google Classroom for, I'm not using Google Classroom this term, and I don't think I'm ready to link it on the school website as yet, right? But what you could do is if you cannot access it from the chat, you could WhatsApp me and I will send it to you on WhatsApp, right? I will send you the link to it on WhatsApp. Or I could send you, if it's just this slide you want, I could send you a screenshot of it. All right, so we did 10 already. We will be doing some more next week as we continue with the restaurant topic, ones that are relevant to our topic, right? Anybody has any questions they want to ask? No questions. All right, we still have 10 minutes. I don't want to lose that time. Oh, let me go over the other things for homework, right? All right, so I'm going to change from this slide. I'm going to count to 10 and we're going to switch the slide, right? Right, so for homework at the beginning of class, I explained this, right? There's an activity to be done during the month of October. It's a worksheet / quiz to help us revise what we just finished doing in September, right? And let me see, is it here? Yes, this is it here, right? It will probably take some time. I think the settings will let you save it and come back to it, right? So, but you could still like plan your answers, look at it if you want before you actually submit your answer. So the first starts off normally with multiple choice. The numbers gradually get bigger. Then we go to an exercise with colors. Please do not use a translation app for this activity, right? You could look up a word, like let's say you forget what the word is for pink, you could look that up. You could look back at your notes to remind yourself, okay, well, the color has to agree with the noun, right? No problem. But please do not put the sentence into Google Translate or ChatGPT or whatever. Just please try, right? Then down here we have a comprehension passage that uses a number of reflexive verbs and questions to follow, right? You may look up words if necessary, but don't just translate the passage to answer, right? So it will take a little time. You could use your notes. It's not impossible. Plan accordingly. That's one thing. And then the next thing is this vocabulary list, which I'm suspecting we need to look at a little bit more, and perhaps we did not look at it last week. So please pace yourself every week, perhaps take 2 pages and work through it. Next week, I'm going to be doing exercises with us for vocabulary with these nouns for food. Things we would order at a restaurant to eat and drink, and things we would not order, but have around as food, right? Right, so lots of homework, revision, during October sometime, this quiz to try, the vocabulary list to work on, right? All right, if we have no more questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up there. Remember, you can message me if you have a problem or if you need help with anything, right? So y'all are free to go. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.